welcome to the United Show. We are live, and once again, we've got a full panel on tonight. We welcome new guests, Alex from the latest member of She Devils United. Welcome, Alex.
Hello, thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
Good. We've got Dale O'Donnell, editor of Stretty News, contributor to Sky Sports News and BBC Sport. How you doing, Dale?
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's good. And of course, my co-host Nathan Ellington. How you doing, Nathan?
Freshly recovered, man. Freshly recovered from that COVID. It's been not the best week, but I'm back. I'm back.
All right. Are you feeling better?
Much better.
Good,
no
good,
headache,
good.
no nothing, no body aches, nothing. So I'm all good.
All right. You missed the post-match reaction of the game against Burnley. 1-0. Sorry to remind you of that. Go on, have a few words before we get going on today's show. What was your thoughts again?
I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let the two guests say what they want to say about the game.
All right.
No, I've already said my piece.
That's only fair. Alex, first and foremost, what was your thoughts after the 1-0 draw against Burnley?
Right, okay. I think with United this season, what we can see is that we are first half FC. So last season, we were second half FC. That's what we were known as. Like, we would go down like 1-0, 2-0. We'd come back second half. We would either demolish them or we would draw. This season, it's like, if we don't win or score or capitalize on our opportunities, we are not winning the second half. And I feel like it's happened time and time again. I've watched this team multiple times. I'm like, right, is this what we're doing now? So 45, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, where we're playing decent football, we're passing, like we're connecting, we're defending as a unit, we're like offensively going forward as a unit. And then after that, second half, the other team comes out, they change maybe their tactics, and we just crumble. We fall apart. And especially against Burnley, I'm like, what are we doing against Burnley when they've sold Chris Wood? So we're like, okay, that's a no-brainer. We should be excelling. Like, we beat them. I was at Old Trafford when we beat them 3-1. Happy days. But again, that game, we beat them in the first half. So it's like, that's what I'm seeing from this team. I feel like on top of that, obviously we had some decisions go against us. I felt like the Pogba foul, that was very, very soft. I feel like the decision against Rashford with what I felt was a penalty didn't go our way. People say we pay the refs off. We clearly don't, because we didn't get those decisions made for us. But ultimately, we let ourselves down. Like, we're not clinical. We're not clinical when it comes to finishing, and that is a massive, big problem. And people say, you got Rashford. I mean, you got Ronaldo. You've got Sancho. It's embarrassing. So yeah, that's my biggest issue with the club. But I can see the changes. I can see what Rangnick's trying to do, and I don't blame him. I just blame the players and their intensity. So yeah.
All right. So we're going to get on to the ruthlessness or the lack of in a bit. Dale, what was your thoughts on the game against Burnley the other night?
Apart from there not being a penalty shootout, it was quite similar to the game against Borough. I totally agree with what Alex says, but also I think from those two games in particular, you can see what the team are trying to do. You can see I feel they're being better coached, and I know the finishing isn't clinical enough, but you can start seeing work in progress. And I know it's first half FC and so on, but what that tells me is that the team is running out of intensity in the second half. They're running out of juice. Exactly. And if you go back to when Klopp took over at Liverpool and they started playing this type of football, it took him a bit of time as well. And it took him time to even change members of the squad. It didn't all just click into place in one season or even 2 seasons. So I think the ball is rolling, and only a matter of time before those chances start hitting the onion bag.
On top of what you just said there, how much of this are you putting down to the fact that, like you said, Rangnick's just taken over in charge? And I think people are expecting instant results. People are expecting, where there was so much uproar about what the lack of things you were getting from Ollie. Now they're expecting changes and results instantly. Do you think they've just got to be a bit more patient with it?
You've got to be patient. You have to be. Some managers come in, they get this bounce period, and some don't. It's very hard for Rangnick to have authority over the dressing room when there's a number of players that don't know about their future yet. A lot of contracts running out. So So he's coming and he's trying to stamp his authority, knowing that's only for 6 months. And that's very, very difficult. And people, when they're looking at the games, they don't really see it that way. I definitely see that the football he's trying to implement, the players are trying to do it now. There was questions about that in the first few weeks, but now we can definitely see it. It's just a matter of whether they can come to terms with that quick enough. But you have to be patient with any manager,
Yeah, definitely. Nathan, you've been in situations where a new manager's come in. How much have you seen from your past experience where players give the manager time, or are there players that are a bit like dubious to judge him too quickly?
No, they usually understand from where they've been and what they've done, and they're going to look at Rangnick's past and they're going to realise, look, this guy's done a lot. Maybe not with a massive tem, but he's done a lot and he's got a big reputation behind him. Or every manager seems to respect him for what he's about, the godfather of this and that, and, you know, the gegenpress and all of that stuff. So for me, I think they're going to say, right, you know, show us what you can do. Show us what you can do to help us. Help us. We know we need the help. What are you going to do? And he's implementing it. Just like Dale and Alex have said, they're both the exact same things I said after the game as well. So I knew they was going to say it as well. So I knew I didn't want to just repeat myself, and then they had nothing to say. But yeah, I can see. Look, I thought we played well in both them games first half against Middlesbrough and against Burnley. We just ran out of gas. Exactly what I was going to say. And I think we're getting better as well. It was actually slightly better first half as well in the Burnley game. So I just think we're going to get better. We're gonna start finishing chances. Cristiano doesn't miss chances for too often, and the other boys don't miss chances that often either. So Sancho's starting to look back near enough to his best as well. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. I was like so excited when I saw him pick up the ball from first minute, just running at people every time he got it. I was loving it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm seeing things and I'm enjoying the game, even though it was way too open. I'm enjoying the game again. So. May it continue to get better. Rangnick knows it's a work in progress and we're going in the right direction. And we know we need the quality in certain areas, which we're going to obviously chat about later. Once we got that quality as well, we're just going to be a lot better side.
Yeah, definitely. Alex, one thing you mentioned earlier, Rashford. I'd say as a whole, Man United, there's a lot more structure under Ralph Rangnick. However, there has been a quite apparent lack of goals since he's come in. From what you're seeing, what would you put that down to?
Lack of goals. I think it's just lack of cohesiveness within the team. I think that I'm only going to think about like last season and the season before that. I feel like obviously everyone has a comment to make about Ronaldo coming in. I feel like last season, for example, when Ronaldo wasn't in the team, like there was no denying that we could score goals. And that is still apparent now. I feel like the fact is that Ronaldo is here and he's a proven goal scorer. So obviously you want to connect and give the balls to a proven goal scorer of Ronaldo's quality. But he's just stinking up the place lately. And I feel like, I don't know what it is. It's like all of a sudden at the same time, like all of our forwards, all the players are just crumbling and they're falling apart. Like Rashford last season, for all his sins, for everything that everyone was saying negatively about him, he scored goals in moments we needed. He was there for us, especially even Cavani as well. Like I was loving Cavani last year. He was such a great introduction to our team because we needed him like during Carabao Cup. Like he was amazing. He was immense during our Europa League campaign. He was fantastic. And I think that he still is. He's a great defensive forward, which I love. I feel like this season, like I don't know what it is. Is it I don't know, like the Euros hangover? Like I don't know what it is from our forwards, like from Rashford or from Luke Shaw, from even Maguire. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we still have the talent to do it. They're just not working together as a unit. And I think last season as well, like you could say individual brilliance, because there were goals that were scored that was based off individual brilliance, and that's the same as it is this season. I feel like now Ronaldo's exposing the gaps and the problems that we have. I don't think he's necessarily the problem. I feel like we have a massive problem. That is to do with our midfield. That's to do with our defense. So many issues across the board that I'm just flabbergasted about, because I'm like, the talent is there. How can you have, like, for example, the last 3 games we've had, I think it's like 53 shots and we've only scored 3 goals. there's something going on with this team that is amiss, that we're not
Mhm.
hitting those shots on target and scoring those goals. That is what's depressing. And I've been to 3 of those games, and I've watched those games, and I've sat there, and the frustration and the groans and the gasps of the home fans. We're like, what's going on here? We don't understand it, and it's just hard to like fathom it and to put a finger on the pin. But I just feel like we've got the talent, we've got the personnel. It's just like it's just not gelling. Whatever system it is, it's not working for them right now.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it before, Nathan, about the individual plays and the individual brilliance at scoring goals, but that was a part and parcel was the problem. It's like catch-22. It's like, yes, you can have the individual brilliance, but you need the structure as well. How do they merge the two at the moment?
You just got to. It's continuation now. It's like knowing your players, knowing where they're going to be, knowing what kind of chances they're going to present for you, and the more you get to know the players in a formation that you're continuously playing every week, that's when you're going to start to see it all come together. We know what Rashford can do. You know, that's what he was. He was an off-the-cuff goal scorer last year. He was the only one we could fall back on at times, and he was injured, and he was still doing it. It was like, good job Rashford's playing, because if he wasn't, there'll be no other goals. You know, but then I think the season before, was it the season before where it was Greenwood, Rashford and Martial? They all got so many goals more than Liverpool. So, you know, it's like that fluidity that we had throughout those 3 was causing so much damage. We could score from anywhere. But with Cristiano getting in there, and then Cavani being another one that's getting in there, they're both slower players. So them kind of chances are not going to come our way anymore. And that's the difference. Even though they're good in their own right, they're very good, it's a different type of good. And I think we lost that counter-attack pace, that crazy pace that we had from left, right, or centre. We've lost that. I mean, you play Cavani and Ronaldo, come on, you're losing a winger and you're losing pace up through the middle. So you're pretty much you're changing your way of playing completely. So, you know, we need to just get back to having some, some continuity. And I know my earphones keep falling out. My ear's a bit different, so I can't hold them in. But yeah, I think, we'll get there. We'll get there. I can see us getting there. And I'm sure we're going to be bringing in the right players to make them differences as well. Because it's looking good for me. It's looking good.
Dal, are you buying into Ronaldo being part of the problem, which I've heard many a time, especially on the socials?
Well, look, you look at it this way. What did Manchester United need in the summer? They needed a centre midfielder, and they didn't get one. I know they needed a centre back, and they got one of them, but they needed a midfielder, and they went out and they signed a superstar, which none of us, I don't think, would say we didn't want. Of course, we wanted Ronaldo back, and no manager would say no to that option. But that's not exactly what the team needed. There was already holes in that team. And you brought in a player, and then you're going to have to play differently with that player. I don't think he is the problem, but he doesn't help the problem. So that exists whether he's there or not. So look, I think Ronaldo, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting in the Champions League. But I look at the other players, and they're not standing up when it counts.
Yeah, very true. Right. What kind of a central midfielder do you feel that Man United need?
Yeah, well, you look at the sitting kind of midfielder, looking at Declan Rice, and I have my questions about him with the valuation that was hanging over his head about a year ago. And
100 million too much.
Yeah, well, that's what was being touted a year or so ago, and I thought that's crazy. But the thing about Declan Rice is, since that period of time, he's been consistent. He's been consistent in that West Ham team and for England. He's been really, really good. He came to Old Trafford and bossed it in midfield against our midfield and really showed us up.
So good.
Really showed us up. So that showed to me that, this guy has a bit of character about him. You can clearly see he's ready for a big move. And I think that's the one United are looking at. And I think he'll do a really, really good job in that midfield.
Yeah.
It'd certainly be a better investment than signing Harry Maguire for 80 million, 100%.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time.
Don't get me started. Get started.
We're going to get onto that. We've got to get onto that. We have to get onto that. Let's go onto that now. Harry Maguire. So yeah, I'm trying not to be a troll. Yeah, and I'm trying to do it as professionally as possible. So I pulled up stats from when they were looking at buying Harry Maguire, and they compared it to the likes of Rio Ferdinand and Vidic. And I thought at the time, am I being too harsh comparing what Maguire's done to Rio Ferdinand's done? But it's not, because these are the standards that Man United set as centre-backs. Like, Rio Ferdinand, okay, he's the greatest defender in the Premier League history. But how much lower have Man United gone with centre-backs? They bring in the best. And they're paid for, and at the time, Harry Maguire's stats were nowhere near in comparison to either John O'Shea's, Mikael Silvestre's, yet they still paid £80 million for him. How do you warrant that? How do you sell him on? You've got him for good, it feels like. He's got 200 plus K a week. Am I bringing you down a bit too much? It's on 200 grand plus a week. How much is the cost going to be?
To play devil's advocate a little bit, Harry Maguire was signed for a team under Ollie that decided that they were going to counter-attack and they were going to accept lots of aerial presence. And a defender of Harry Maguire's mould would fit into that kind of team. And that's why we've seen some of his best football for United. If you remember his first season, he came in and people would all agree he has improved our defence. He is our best defender, without a shadow of a doubt. And then Ollie decided he wanted to progress the team, which we all wanted, and see more fluidity and attacking football with a higher defensive line. And then a defender of Harry Maguire's mould, quite slow and lacks pace, really struggled. And I see what we now have is we need something different. And it's a bit of a different story for the club, because they've spent 80 million on this investment. Yeah. And they're going to have to decide now in the summer is he going to fit into the next manager's plans? Because if we are going to play this kind of football, he doesn't fit into the plans. That's not what we signed him for.
Were they thinking, Alex, were they thinking too short term when they paid the 80 million for Harry Maguire?
I mean, I want to give Ollie the benefit of the doubt and think that when he was looking at Maguire, he was thinking long term, because I think at the time, if you look at it, we had his name's escaping me now. Ashley Young. Ashley Young. And so it was like, and at the particular time, our back line was leaking goals left, right, and centre. So I think if you look at it from retrospectively, like Harry Maguire seemed like a good fit. Obviously, he was playing for Leicester. They'd come off the back of a Premier League win, obviously a fluke. So it was like, okay. And a lot of players from that team, like you look at Kante, you look at Mahrez, they've gone on to have success. So you would have assumed that maybe potentially Harry Maguire would have had success at United. And I feel like initially, obviously, he was a big signing for Ole. And when he did come in, it was he did give us some type of defense in the back four. We were leaking goals left, right, and center. So it was like that gave us a bit more confidence. And I think even if you go back to last season, I know everyone talks about a COVID year, but I think the biggest time when people were notice his loss was when he was injured and we lost against Leicester. We lost against Villarreal, obviously, that horrendous Europa League final. So I think that his presence was felt then. But I think as this season's gone on and he's come back and we've seen him play and we've seen the mistakes. And then actually, if you look at, even when he plays for England, if you look at all his games in the last season, the season before that, you can see that he has deficiencies. And the fact is that we have to compensate for that £80 million he spent on him. And we have to find a centre-back that complements him. That's why we've had to get Varane in, because we know that Lindelof doesn't complement him, because Lindelof gets bullied off the park time and time again. Bayer, yes, he puts his body on the line, but he doesn't complement Maguire in that respect. So we are stuck with Maguire because of that price tag. And that is what the problem is. And I see it time and time again for the good things that he does possess. He does have good traits, so I'm never going to write him off and say, but I would always say, for me, his player rating was always a 2, because I feel like he takes rash decisions. I feel like he wants to play hero ball, where he wants to go out and take on the challenges, and he forgets, you've got a back line, you're the captain. And I'm saying this because I've gone to games and I've watched him, and I'm like, a captain is the one that's he's commanding his team. And especially if you're a defender, you are holding your back line to accountability. When I watch him, he's shouting this, that, and the other, but no one's really listening or giving him that much respect. So for me, I'm as a captain, that's a no-no. And also, it's like, if you're going to play hero ball and you're running out, make sure you play hero ball and you're going to get that ball and you're going to defend it, and there's not going to be a goal conceded against you. Because I'm sick of seeing Laurel and Hardy, Calamity Jane things. We watched it against Liverpool. We saw him bumping into Luke Shaw. Oh my God, the goal. Like, what the hell? And then we saw it last night. We saw that again. It's like I don't know what he was thinking. You could see that, obviously, when McTominay's there, he had the back line to defend. You don't want to just stay there. You're honestly, I was like, Maguire, I can't. So for me, I feel like everyone says he's got this intelligence. Okay, I don't ever see it though. For United, I don't see it. And I feel like, okay, if your back line, if the people you're working with, you don't have that basic communication, the basic understanding of each other, where your position is going to be, then for me, you're not a centre back, or you're not a defender that should be playing for United. And that's how I feel about him.
Yeah, that's a very, very good points in there. Nathan, how much better has he been than Chris Smalling?
I don't think he's better than Chris Smalling. He's probably a little bit better on the ball, but for me, I'd still rather have Chris Smalling over him. Look, when he first was coming and I was looking at the side, I thought, wait a minute, he's not better than what we've got. Why are we going to spend 80 million on that? Mm-hmm. And I thought, he's not the best defender in his own team. Why are we buying him? Because we let go of Johnny Evans. Like I said, Johnny Evans is better than him. Left foot, right foot, pinging balls, positional play. He's better than him. Overall, for me, I like him more. He's come in, and then he did play well. He did. We got rid of Smalling. We went to Roma, and he fit in. And at the time, he did fit in okay. He did a good job. But the reason why he did a good job is because we ended up playing two centre defensive midfielders right in front of him, so no one can do nothing in terms of pace. But then it means you lost for extra attacking players. And this is where our problem came when we come up against the better teams. We can't break them down with less players. We're trying to break them down. We can't do it. And then we're like, this is a catch-22. I've been saying it. I'm like, how are we going to change this? It has to be Maguire got to come out. So then someone who can defend one-on-one can play. So then we can put one more attacking midfielder in there and leave one defensive midfielder. Then we'll be okay. But it never happened. And then what you found is England and Man United were carbon copies of each other just to defend and help Maguire to get help pace-wise. Why do you think they've got two defensive midfielders ahead of him? Yeah, same thing happened. And that's why England also don't have as much attacking. We all want to see like the Grealish and Foden play. And you're never going to see that because Maguire's in the side. So if you want to play that way, no problem. Maguire will do pretty well for you because that's the kind of player he is. He's very good with it, not having to turn around and run that way. But, when he is having to do that, he's a massive struggle. It's a massive problem. Massive problem. And he continues to make these mistakes. And they're not mistakes. This is another thing. Sorry, guys. It's not mistakes. It's his level. It's not just going to be like, oh, sorry, guys, we'll get better. You won't be better. That's your level. So all I'm saying is he's that type of level. The league position, you're probably about a 5th, 6th, 7th. Well, where we are right now. That's the kind of position we are. And that's why we're where we're at. So that's it. That's what I got to say.
I'll just say, listen, we've had like Steve Bruce, we've had Gary Pallister, we've had Stam, we've had Vidic, we've had Ferdinand, okay? And to put the name Harry Maguire next to those players is like a sin because he does not represent United in that way ever. So
yeah.
Sorry, Dale, how much of a problem is it having to compensate for some of Harry Maguire's frailties, like his lack of pace, his mobility sometimes? How much is it a problem with Man United trying to do what they want to do and move forward and play the way they want to play?
I think it's a tough one because every week he seems to make blunders that almost cause opportunities for the opposition. He seems to be a mistake away from a goal. And I don't think that's the true Harry Maguire. I think he's having a bad season at the moment. Because usually he's a sure head. He is someone that has lots of experience under his belt. And I think right now his confidence is all the time low. So I think could we squeeze a few wins under a belt with Harry Maguire the team? Yes. But right now, probably not. And I think we're going to see Lindelof step in. It won't be a matter of trying to compensate for Harry Maguire because Lindelof, in the few games that he played alongside Varane, we looked really solid in the back. And I think Rangnick said it before one of the cup games, not the game against Borough, the one before that, the one we managed to win. And he said that was a centre back that worked the last day, so I'm going to stick it with it now. And I don't see a reason for that to change. What happened in the meantime was Lindelof got ill, and Harry Maguire stood in. So hopefully we'll see Lindelof back soon, because that just looks a lot more solid to me. He might not be the best defender in the air, but I think that Varane can compensate for that because he's such an assured presence. That's one thing about Varane. No matter who he's alongside, he seems to play well. Whereas when it's Harry Maguire and Lindelof together, it's like what Alex said, Lauren and Hardy.
Yeah, it's 2 second defenders, isn't it? Playing at the same time. There's 2 second defenders, and you need one that's the first defender with the second. And Lindelof's done pretty well with him, as you just said. But another thing is, Jones did well with him as well.
Yes,
he actually did well. He's actually played better than Maguire's played. And I'm like, look, Jones is fit. I'm playing him over Maguire. I'd like to see Maguire get sold to Newcastle. I think they got a lot of money. Hopefully they can pay as much as possible for him.
You already said, I was just about to ask that question. Where realistically, where does he go? If you are to sell him, where does he go? Because you taking a loss, you're not getting anywhere near that 80 million price tag. What's the realistic price, and where does he go? We'll start with Alex.
Okay, I'm trying to be realistic because my mind is saying £2. Anyway, realistically, I think 40 million, and I think he could go to Southampton, and I think he could kill it at Southampton and be a beast there. I just think it's like the standard though, like for a lot of players who play at United, when they go off and they move to another team who's not of that stature or not of that like elite level, they go off and they kill it. Like you see Jesse at West Ham. I'm just saying, like he would kill it at Southampton, I feel like. So I would take 40 million, sell him to Southampton. Boom, he would be flipping prime.
Southampton.
I don't know.
You're really selling it.
I was going to say.
Listen, he'd be Maldini at Southampton.
Ralph Hasselholt is not watching this podcast right now. I'll tell you that for a fact.
He'd be Maldini at Southampton. Go ahead. Go live your life.
Dale, realistically, how much do you get for him, and where could you see him going if he was to be sold?
I think United could get a little bit more, maybe 50 million. I think because he is a fully fledged England international, they could sell that to a club like Newcastle, because look, Newcastle are going to try and prove a point to have a big England centre back. They would sell shirts on the back of that. He'd be a good option, and I think that he's probably better than what they have.
Yeah,
and we all know they've got money now. Saying that, there's not many players that I would sell to Newcastle for a number of reasons. But it says a lot that I would definitely look to make a bit of money off Harry Maguire.
Nathan, where realistically, how much do you think you'd get for Harry Maguire, and where could you sell him to?
I think 50 million is not out of the question. To be fair, just in this climate, hopefully we could get that amount for him. And like I say, Newcastle is a perfect one, man, because they don't really, they need to rebuild. They need to rebuild in these kind of areas. It'll be a big buy for them. And it's a step in the right direction for them, and a step in the right direction for us, so we can use some of that money to get Declan Rice in. So that'll be only like 40, 50 million for Declan Rice if we sold him. That'll be perfect, I'd be so happy if that happens.
Who needs Richard Arnold, lads? Who needs Richard Arnold?
I was going to say, you've got the Man United show. You've got Alex selling him to Ralph Hasselholt. You've got Dow selling him to Newcastle for 50 mil. And then you've got agent Nathan Ellington coming in there as well, just backing it up. I mean, forget Mino Raiola. You got the Raiolas here.
I'll make the call.
No one's mentioned Everton. Like Man United's feeder club.
Whatever. Even if there's 50 mil, I don't mind
Gibson,
either way.
The abundance of Man United players that have gone to that club. Tim Howard, like Everton.
Yeah, he won't need to move
Arsenal
home
sold
either,
Iwobi for 40 million.
But listen, we got Joshua King, a Man United Academy graduate at Watford, so he could go there then. Like whatever. We got Tom Cleverley there, like
exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. So Everton, Newcastle was an option. Someone said Serie A. I'm not sure whether Harry Maguire would settle in Serie A. It's just something about. I just don't think he's.
It's slower football, isn't it?
But it's also
right
the culture as well. There's a massive culture change. Like you have to learn the language very quickly. They're not. Some of these countries aren't forgiving if you don't know English. I don't know about Serie A, but Everton definitely. A quick question I saw from here. Paul says that we should be talking about Ronaldo. We should be talking about Ronaldo and not Harry Maguire, as he is the problem. And then I asked Paul, what would you say is the problem?
He was on the bench. I'm
going to put this to everyone, though. He said Rashford and Cavani, all of our offensive players, have not been the same since Ronaldo has come into the club. Dale, what's your thoughts on that first?
Well, is Cavani's one of the players mentioned there, and to be honest, that's one that I'm not sure about, because since he's come, I'd argue that as much as I adore him, I haven't seen enough. I wish Cavani has played more football, and that's not just down to Ronaldo being there. But last season he wasn't always fit, and this season he hasn't always been fit. So if we didn't sign Ronaldo in the summer, we could have bigger problems, because we wouldn't have had Cavani or Ronaldo. As for Rashford, it comes down to circumstances. Last season, he was scoring goals, although he wasn't at his best because he was injured. And this season, he missed a chunk of the season. So he's coming back from that. He missed about 3 months at the beginning of the season. So can't blame Ronaldo for everything. And I think it's an example of him being the headline. You know, if something is wrong, then we have to point it to Ronaldo. It's like he was benched against Burnley the other night, and people are having opinions on Ragnick benching him for one game. He's 37 years old. And he has to manage his game time. So I just think it's another example of let's pin the donkey with Ronaldo, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Alex, what's your thoughts on the fact that Paul's saying that Cavani and Rashford haven't been the same since Ronaldo's turned up?
I think it's really sad. I think that a lot of fans and when we watch football, we forget what players are like and where they are at a certain age. I remember when Paul Scholes came back to United and how some fans were like, "Oh my God, he's past it, he's this," and you're like, Paul Scholes. And now when people think about Paul Scholes, they think, "Oh my gosh, wow, look at what we had." So it's and I remember at the time people were like, "Oh, why is he come back?" Blah blah. And
take him back again.
You needed, didn't you?
But now,
you know it.
100%. That guy could control the midfield. I mean, McTominay, please. There's the levels are just. But it's even Giggs, and I think that for example, with Ronaldo, you know what, at the beginning of the season, when we were we had him and everyone was yeah, he's coming back into the team, and we were all hyped. We were yeah, a lot of United fans were yeah, we're going to win the league because we've got Ronaldo. But I think we forget, when we had Ronaldo in 07, 08, that team was a team that could not be trusted with. I mean, please, that was one of the best teams we've ever had. But he moved on and he went to Real Madrid, and that team was phenomenal. But since then, he has declined, and that is natural because of his age. I mean, what do we expect? The fact is this guy has meant that we don't have to play Europa League football, and I don't want to get trolled and bantered by Arsenal fans, by Spurs fans anymore about, oh my God, your team, because I'm you know what, we're not playing Europa League. So that is my fallback, my safe point of view. So I will be forever grateful to Ronaldo for making that happen, because if it wasn't for him, we probably would be playing Europa League, and it'd be another embarrassing year because we'd have to contend with Barcelona, we'd have to contend with Borussia Dortmund, and I don't think we would get through that. So what I'm saying is that for us to say that he's the problem, he isn't. I think what he brings is obviously his experience, but also his experience of his health, his fitness, the way he carries himself. I think that if you are a footballer and that doesn't rub off on you in a good way, that you are stupid, because this guy has got longevity. And I feel like we can't just, you know what, this is a thing in society. We throw away people because they're elderly, because they're old. We look at Zlatan. I mean, Zlatan is and
spoke about it the other day.
Please. I mean, I don't care what you said about United, about the pound, whatever. That's minor. But what I'm saying about Ronaldo is that this guy is beast. He is a footballer's footballer. He is a fan footballer who we watch and we see who actually gives a damn about football, who takes care of himself, who takes pride, and he's got passion. Oh yeah, sometimes he can be a brat, but I feel like how can we put the blame on this guy who is a proven winner, who we know has won time and time again, who scores goals? It isn't his fault. We don't have this. He doesn't have the service. He doesn't have the service. He doesn't have the players around him that can give him the things he needs. This guy has worked with defenders like I can't even tell you, amazing. And he's got to deal with Harry Maguire and Lindelof. I don't blame this guy at all. He's got to deal with a midfield like McTominay and Fred when he's had what he's had in his life. He's not the problem for me. Okay, I don't believe in that. So he has my vote, 100%.
Yes, he definitely does. Nathan, what's your thoughts on what Paul has to say? We've had two resounding answers there. Great answers.
Yeah. Well, I look at it from like the whole team perspective here, and Cristiano 100% is not the problem, but the problem is the way United are playing. Like we played a way which was only really good for people who score something out of nothing. And that's why you got a problem, because Cristiano at this age, he needs some help. He used to play like that, where he scores something out of nothing, but we don't play that no more. So Cavani needs service. Cristiano needs service. They played at City, they're getting 50 goals in a season, and they're playing at Man United. And this is what the problem is. We put them in, and it changed our whole dynamic. We're no longer counter-attack. We're no longer counter-attack, but we're no longer, well, actually, we're still not able to provide chances. So what are you going to do? You're going to score off scraps. Cristiano scores off scraps. Cavani scores off the odd scrap. But really, you can't live like that. Week to week, you can't be living like that. And that's what struggles we've had. And that's why, obviously, Ollie wanted just hoping that the team was just going to produce magic and just do well. But he probably also knew, I got to play Cristiano. It's gonna be like detrimental to the way this team works, but he ain't the problem. It's the problem within the way the team works, but it's not him. If you get what I mean, it's a hard one to explain. But like I say, if he goes to a Man City, Cristiano just needs to stand in the box, and the ball's coming to him, and he's scoring 50 goals. That's 100% for me. I believe if we even went there now, we'll probably still get 30 goals by the end of the season. But United, different game. But we're getting better now. But at the same time, I can see, like, wait a minute, man. Imagine, obviously, Greenwood's no longer there. But, man, I was just thinking, imagine we had Greenwood, Rashford, Sancho all playing. Like, I was just thinking, and they're all on form. And just even if they're not on, they're just able to do things on their own. And that's a little bit different. And I think that's what some of the fans are seeing, some of the supporters, they're seeing what we were doing last season, how we were scoring goals for fun, like on the break. And now it's not exactly the same. But it's also showing up all the other things that we can't do. And we're starting to bring it into the game now because Dalot's playing a bit more. Obviously, he's a bit better on the ball. So you're getting more quality coming in from that side. He's actually provided a few good crosses, which have led to goals as well. Shaw's now got a kick up his backside because Rangnick's told him, listen, when that player Sancho gets on the ball, you better sprint past your man. And then he'll put you in. If you're not sprinting past your man, Telles, get yourself on. And now Shaw's back on it again. So this is what I'm saying. Now it's going to provide the action.
How many times have we said that about Shaw, though? Like, we've had many a conversations about Shaw. He has that spark. He gets a kick from Telles. Telles realise that Telles has only got to hit the bar. Shaw picks up again, has a few good games, looks behind his shoulder. Telles ain't there, so he slacks off a bit. Then Man United's fault.
You won't be able to do that no more.
You can't have that. It's got to be consistent.
You won't be able
it's got
to
to be
anymore.
consistent.
I'm telling you, you won't be able to do that anymore because Rangnick, you can see he's on his case. And I can see his football. I've seen it in the last 2 games. He's starting to now get his ass in gear and he's going to get fitter for it. Everyone's going to get fitter for it. They're going to be able to go 48 minutes next week and then 50 minutes the week later. And then eventually we'll get to 90. I'm telling you.
100%. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it as Alex brought up earlier on with Liverpool. Like, you can't expect a team that's trying to do the press all over the pitch, high intensity from the get-go to go straight into that and do that for 90 minutes. It's not going to happen. It's going to be 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then it's going to be 45 minutes. Then it's going to be 50, 60, 70. And then sometime halfway through next season, teams are in trouble if you make the right signings. Dale, do you still think Man United will get top 4 this season and secure Champions League?
Of course, I think so, because the season, to me, that's what we're banking on, really, isn't it? If I'm going to say no, then the season's over. Until that's mathematically impossible, I'm going to see us in with a shot. And you look at the results the other night after our game against Burnley, Tottenham losing, and that was a chance for them to gather ground. They couldn't do it. The other team in the race is Arsenal, and I always fancy our chances in a race against them when it comes to consistency. Although this season, our biggest fault is that we haven't been able to get a win and run together. I thought after the international break with the fixtures that we're leading into that we definitely have 3 Premier League wins on the bounce. We weren't able to do that. And that's the biggest kick in the teeth for United this season is we haven't been able to get a win and run. But I do still think that we can do. Because like we mentioned, the players that we're discussing on this podcast, on paper, we are better than the teams around us. We should be able to do it. And like I said at the start of the podcast or the show, the Rangnick's football, it will start to click. And it's starting to, you can see the improvement signs. We're not taking our chances yet, but hopefully between now and the end of the season, we start hitting the onion bag.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, even talking about will Man United get 4th would have been laughed at, because it's like it's not even a topic of conversation. It's more, are Man United challenging for the title as opposed to are they looking for 4th? But it's changed dramatically, and as you made a point there, none of the teams around at the moment are really stringing 3 games together. And when they do, then they end up in that 4th spot.
I think also, Kieran, something that is worth mentioning is that baby steps. You look at Man United since Ferguson retired, we've been dipping in and out of the Champions League into Europa League, dipping in and out, not consistently being a Champions League side. Before we can start talking about beating City to a title race or Liverpool, we need to consistently nail down that Champions League top 4 place and not being at this stage of the season where we're looking over our shoulders, seeing our Wolves coming up behind us, or West Ham we're competing with, so that's the job for the next Manchester United manager.
When people start bringing, like you said,
we need to start becoming a serious football team from next season onwards. The next manager start making us serious, because when we're dipping into the Europa League, it's just like a tank of rubbish.
So true. Alex, do you think Man United is going to secure a 4th spot this season?
Right. So the old school Man United fan in me, who's been supporting United for like good 30 years now, is like, yes, I believe in us, because I feel like our history, the tenacity, like just our pedigree, our culture, like, of course, yeah. But then when I deep it, when I look at the teams that are chomping at the bit at us, right? I'm not even going to count Arsenal in that, because I feel like Arsenal do what Arsenal always does. But I feel like if we look at West Ham, if we look at Spurs, they've got Conte. I feel like we're in a battle here, and it is very, very tight. However, optimistically, I'm looking at Chelsea and I'm like, are you even qualified to even make like 3rd? So the potential is that Chelsea could even fall off, because the way that they've been playing, they're obviously like suffering massively with their win backs, like being injured, etc. Obviously, Lukaku is not, banging. Obviously, he scored a goal yesterday, but however, in the Prem, he's not been doing what he's was paid to do. So I feel like on that front, like there is always optimism and a possibility for us to hit 4th. I feel like we're never ever short of goal scorers in our team, even though we haven't necessarily been banging in the goals in the past 3 games, but I feel like we've got potential there. We've got firepower within our structure, within our personnel. So that is always definitely optimism. And I feel like 4th. I feel like looking at Sancho right now and seeing the runs, the dribbles, the little nutmegs he's making, like I'm like, yes, this is the Sancho that I watched in the Bundesliga, that I was happy to see come into United. And I'm like, yes, thank God that I'm seeing it now. And I'm gonna have banter with everyone, say, yes, see, you doubted him, but look, it's coming good. So of course, like I believe in my team. I wouldn't like support this team if I didn't. I feel like we are capable of making 4th place 100%. I just feel like it is literally like the other clubs like position to bottle. And I feel like the most poignant and most important, significant time is the next 4 weeks, because these games that we have, apart from Atletico Madrid, which I mean Barcelona, the trash that they are right now, beat them 4-2. But I feel like we've got the games that we have. We should be getting 3 points out of these games, because in March, if you look at the fixtures in March, apart from Spurs, we've got a very, very, very tough fixture. So if we can get like 9 points over the next 3 weeks and beat Atleti, then we're going to be in a good situation that can make us get to 4th. Because Arsenal, Leicester, West Ham, they're bottlers, and we have the chops to do it. So I'm going to say yes. My heart is yes, but my head is like, I don't know. But I'm gonna back my team 100% because I believe in us.
All right, we get on to the other fixtures.
Let me just make a little point, yeah.
We'll get on to the other fixtures in a second.
We have an Arsenal.
Good thing I'm sitting down.
In this room here.
With his finger hovering over the eject button, Alex. I'm all right. I can handle it. You can smack talk Arsenal in here, only because it's the Man United show. So I'm not gonna. No, I'm
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, I'm not sorry, please.
While the show is on, I'm neutral. I just want to say Arsenal are winning 1-0. So any Arsenal fans out there watching this pod, 1-0 to the Arsenal against
Wolves. Oh my God, my FPL team is going to trash right now. I was like better Wolves.
I'll take that in.
I'll
take it back. Apologies to any United fans that are offended by my Arsenal gloat in there. All right, I'm going to wind it back in.
Who scored?
I don't know. I'm not watching it. I'm currently doing this pod. The sacrifices I make for my channel, that is crazy.
It was Gabriel.
Oh shit. Okay.
No.
Come on, Wolves.
We get on to the fixtures, as Alex said, because there are 3 or 4 important fixtures for Man United coming up this month. Nathan, 4th spot. You should be thinking. It goes without saying. Man United, 4th spot. We shouldn't even be having this conversation.
No, because of the last 2 games I've seen, I think we're going to improve enough to start getting some consistency. I think that's going to be enough, because the other teams, they're how they are. They're not going to be improving. They're just playing how they are right now. And that's got them to where they are. Where we know we're way behind where we should have been, and we're going to get to where we are. So hopefully, I said like the other time when we looked at the 10 games coming up at that point, I don't know when it was, but we had so many easy games, and I said we should win all 10 of them games, and we haven't. We ain't won even 5 of them games. Then? I don't know. I think it's like 4 games, and one of them might have been in the cup. I don't know, but yeah, we should have beaten all them teams, and we just didn't. And like I said, we forget who it was now, but. Yeah, I think we've got enough. I'm confident that we can finish 4th because of what I'm seeing on the pitch now. I'm enjoying the football again. I know the result ain't right yet, but I'm enjoying the football again. And that's really... And then I want to see Rangnick start making some proper decisions. Like I'm saying, get Maguire out of there. Stop trying to continue playing him. Because when Bailly gets 1 game and he does one thing wrong, he's out of the team. He should play in the team as well. But end of the day, look, I think Rangnick will make the right decisions, and we will win games, and we will get the 4th spot. Simple as that.
All right. Dale, big games coming up this month. I think Southampton you've got next. I think Brighton you're playing as well. Just before you've got Atletico Madrid, you've got Leeds as well away from home. Surely that's got to be 9 points. Brighton will be a tough game, but it's Brighton. I know the league's changed, and we can't just be going off of what they were when we were younger and where they were back then. And teams are completely different. But you've got to be looking at 9 points in the next 3 games.
Just drew 1-1 with Burnley.
Exactly.
Thank you. You can't take any of these 3 points. And I think the way you asked that question, not just to make an example of it, but that's exactly the problem with probably the Manchester United dressing room, is when they're looking at these fixtures and they're thinking Southampton coming up, Brighton, Leeds. Oh, we'll probably beat them. We'll beat them. They're 3 points, but they're not. They're not. And the Premier League is a very, very difficult league where it's so competitive, and you see upsets every weekend. If you were a betting man and you're doing accumulators, and you pick the top teams every week, you probably wouldn't come out on top because there's an upset pretty much every week. Yeah. So I think these fixtures are all tough. What Manchester United need to start doing is taking their chances. We're seeing the better performances, and then the results will come. But if we keep going into these games and wasting glorious chances on goal, then we're going to drop more points as time goes on. But it's a matter of us needing desperately, especially this month. The league games you mentioned, yeah, they're winnable, but this is where Manchester United need to go on that win and run. If they can go on the win and run, of course, top four is in reach, but if they don't, then they won't. On this form, no.
All right. Alex, 9 points out of these next 3 games. I know Dale's just said you can't take these teams like, and you can't. Understandable. No. But home against Southampton, home against Brighton, and away to a Leeds side who are just so open.
Listen, all I'm going to say is, first up, Leeds, go F yourselves. I don't have any respect for Leeds at all. Obviously, you know the rivalry between us is physical, it's very heavy, it's hectic. Leeds are not even in my periphery. They can bye-bye. But what I'm going to say, let's put some respect on Ralph Hasenhüttl's name, okay? Let's put some respect on Graham Potter's name, because for me, when I think about Brighton, yeah, and the way that they play and the system that they play, the thing is what I've noticed about Brighton, right, is that Brighton, yeah, they're not to be trifled with or disrespected, because this team are so good at being interchangeable. This team knows, right, how to bamboozle the opposition multiple times. I've seen it when they play. Sometimes, yeah, they don't necessarily go out the park and they don't win every game. But when you watch them play, it's a battle to the end. And this team does not give up. And I think the thing is about this team, especially Brighton, for example, is that their players know how to play in different formations, different systems, and they're interchangeable. And that is the strength of Graham Potter and what he's done and how he's revolutionized that Brighton team. And I think if you look at like Lewis Dunk, if you look at Trossard, you look at Mopé, you look at Cucurella, like they have got a squad that are just so sublime and so like incredible that you cannot count them out. And especially the way that we've played, you've watched us play against Newcastle, you watched us play against, Everton, you watched us play against Aston Villa in the first half of the season at home and get battered. So I'm not discounting or discrediting Brighton ever in life. I'm never going to take them for granted. Southampton as well. Do not. If you watch Southampton against Tottenham last night at home, the way that they had them on the ropes, the way that Brozier plays, I'm like, damn, oh my gosh, can you please come and show some of our forwards how to perform in that way? Listen, Ward-Prowse, okay, he could. I'm not going to compare him to Beckham, but he is like.
I call him James Ward-Beckham.
James Ward-Prowse, a tier 3 Beckham, okay? Never disrespect Beckham. I'm going to say that James Ward-Prowse is a tier 3 Beckham, which is giving him a lot of credit, and he is something to be like watched and reckoned with, because that guy, I've watched him. He's in my FPL team, and he's never let me down like multiple weeks now, and I'm glad he's on my team. But apart from that, watching him even last season before that, watching his development, his growth in the Southampton team. I know everyone talks about Southampton being a feeder club, but listen, they produced some players. They had Van Dijk, they've had Shaw, they got flipping Ward-Prowse.
Mane.
Like, listen, they've had ballers in that squad, and I'm telling you, that team is not to be trifled with. And I'm saying it with chest and passion, because I watched Southampton and Hasenhüttl. You listen, the Germans don't play around. They're efficient, they're effective, they know what they're doing. I know what we smashed them 9-0 because obviously that's what we do. That's COVID year. They had 2 sending offs, whatever. They still are a team, yeah, that are amazing, and they are so good at pressing. And what I watched last night against Spurs in their own ground against flipping Conte, I was like, damn, you know what? Saturday in the afternoon, I hope I'm not crying into my pillows, because I feel like they're gonna score. So that's one thing I know. But are we gonna outscore them? So all I'm gonna say is, out of the next few games, I don't know. Maybe we could take 2 points, 3 points, but my optimism is going to say 6. But I'm just saying, after all that, you know what? Bow down. I'm gonna bow down. That's it.
All right, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, no one's disrespecting what Ralph Hasenhüttl was doing, especially for you, Alex, right? And or what Graham Potter is doing. Like, these are two of the most best up and coming managers in the league, and probably a couple of more. However, yeah, we're talking about a team. Yes, they've taken points against Chelsea at home. Though they've lost 3-1 to Tottenham. Dropped points against a Leicester team who's been up and down this season. Dropped points to Crystal Palace. They also dropped. They won 3-2 against Everton. Dropped points to Wolves at home. So yes, this is a Brighton team who's much better than before. A Brighton team who's scoring more goals than before. But they still hit that patch where they're not scoring anything more than 1 or 2 goals. They're not scoring more than 2 goals a game. They're not scoring more than 1 goal a game in most games. So surely, I'll say it again, Nathan, from these next 3 games, I completely understand, yeah? Italian hands coming out. I completely understand that Man United are not in the greatest of form right now. They've got 2 games against Southampton and Brighton.
Right.
Surely you've got to be looking at 6 points. Tough games, but surely you have to. If you are talking about you are getting top 4, there's nothing other than 9 points in these games. Because who are you going to get your points against if you're not going to get points against these teams?
Yeah, we have to get them points. But here's the thing. My friend rang me on the weekend, just before the game, and he said, you think you'll win? I said, you know what? I'm not sure, man. He's like, what do you mean you're not sure? The bottom of the league. I said, you've seen us playing recently. What are you talking about? Not sure. We just played Middlesbrough and we couldn't beat them. So how do you think we're just going to play against Burnley and go and win easy? No games are walkover. No games are quick 3 points no more. We are all about do 100%, do everything, and we still might not win the game. So at the moment, we're playing open football. It's open season at Man United. So end of the day, what Alex was saying, what Dale was saying, is that them teams can attack you. If you're not tight, they're going to score. We need to be tight. So we need to improve on what we've been doing just the last few games. We need to get those 3 goals and make them all count. You know, against Burnley, I'm like, man, we should at least be 2-0 up here. Nah, that's just not right. There's 2 goals there. That's just non-goals. But now it's 1-0. They're going to score. They're going to score. And we're going to probably be drawing this. You know, are we going to get another goal? You know, so now it's that thing when it comes to Southampton. I'm thinking, they're a tough team, you know. They're a tough team. It doesn't matter who you play. Everyone's a tough team when United are playing the way they're playing and with Maguire sitting at the back. Because we're going to go out attacking. What did we do? I'm not being like disrespectful to Maguire here. This is just reality. When we go out and attack, we're pushing up real high and we're leaving him to defend one-on-one. It's not a good look. Not a good look against a team that can pop it about and make their pace count. Because I'm sure Southampton got the Armstrong, who's really pacey as well. He's come from the lower league, on fire with pace. Obviously, he's not scored loads of goals, but end of the day, he's playing against Maguire. We're going to have a problem, you know? So I'd like to see what team we're going to pick. Then I'll know how confident I am. But at the same time, we need to be putting away our chances. If we start doing that, we'll do better. I don't want to see Cavani and Ronaldo playing at the same time because that will really reduce our pace. We just can't afford to do that anymore. And like I say, we've got limited numbers and choices we can play in the team now as well. So we've got to really do the Ollie, stick with that first 11 the whole time. And that's it, like, for the rest of the season. And,
I've never thought I'd hear you say we've got to do an Ollie, Nathan.
Not the Ollie ball,
in terms of never changing your first 11. That's what I mean. Not the football. I'm saying do an Ollie where he never changed anything. The same starting lineup, no matter who's on the bench. Everyone, you lot are still playing every game. So, nah, I don't want to see that.
All right, okay. So, big games. You've got big games, yeah? As I said, if you're not going to win these games, I don't know who you're going to get your points off. You've got Brighton, Southampton, Watford, Tottenham, Man City, Liverpool, Everton, Norwich, Arsenal, never getting points there. Brentford, Crystal Palace and Chelsea. So if you're not getting points off of these teams, there's no top 4. So you've got to be getting the points of these teams. And I think I can
7 points.
I'm with Dale. I think that it's going to start coming towards the end of the season. I think your run will start soon. I've seen it with many teams where the high press and the intensity is too much at the start, but as the season goes on, it picks up, and by the end of the season, I think Man United will be running on full on gas. All right, that is all we have time for. That is all we have time for. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Alex.
Sorry, I was on mute there. So happy to be here and to talk about the team I love. But also, I want to say, listen, we've not lost a game; we've drawn. So if we're talking about United, it's wow, there's room for improvement. So thank you for having me on. So yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone where they can find you, where they can find your Twitter handles there? But go on.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter, where I'm very vocal about football. And my Twitter handle is @mycupofshe. So yeah, it's in my
very
little
clever
thing there.
Like it. And Dale, of course, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
No, definitely. Where can everyone find you?
They can find me on Twitter @O'DonnellDale, or you can get all my Manchester United columns and stuff on strettynews.com.
All right, cool. Make sure you go there. Make sure you follow Alex and Dale. And of course, my co-host tonight, Nathan Ellington. Thanks for joining us, Nathan.
Thanks a lot. It's been great having you both on. Amazing, stimulating chat as well. So very, very happy to have you guys with us.
All right. And of course, if you are new to the show, if you are watching the first time tonight, please press that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, I did see one of you in there. Here we go. Facebook user, change your settings so we can see who you are, and we can have this conversation. I say this every time. Make sure you change your settings next time so we can see who you are on in the live chat. Thanks for joining us, Paul, Garth, Carrington, Jesse. Who else we got in there? Oliver. Who else we got? Ollie Girl Trafford back in there again. Luke, Bobby. Appreciate the support. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.